This is a retelling of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. The story is written for English learners at B1, B1 Plus level. Relax, listen carefully, and enjoy the story. Harry spends another long and uncomfortable summer at the Dursleys' house, but this time the feeling is different, heavier, and more painful, because he is older now and understands much more about the world around him. The house on Prevet Drive feels narrow, silent, and full of invisible pressure, as if the walls themselves are watching him and waiting for him to make a mistake. Harry stays in his small bedroom at the top of the stairs, where the air always feels a little too warm and the silence feels too loud. During the day, he pretends to behave like a normal boy, answering shortly, moving quietly, and trying not to attract attention. At night, when the house finally falls asleep, Harry allows himself to be who he really is. He lies under his blanket with a small flashlight, holding his wand carefully in one hand and a school book in the other. The words on the page glow softly in the dark as he reads about spells, magical creatures, and lessons he misses deeply. From time to time, he practices very small and careful spells, stopping immediately if he hears even the smallest sound from outside his room. "I must not get caught," Harry whispers to himself, his voice barely louder than his breathing. "I am not allowed to use magic outside school." Every day feels slow and endless, and Harry counts the hours until he can return to Hogwarts, the only place where he truly feels safe and accepted. He thinks about Ron's loud laughter, Hermione's serious face, and the warm noise of the common room. But even these thoughts cannot fully calm him, because something feels wrong this summer, darker and more dangerous than before. One evening, Uncle Vernon announces that Aunt Marge is coming to visit, and the moment Harry hears her name, a cold feeling spreads through his stomach. Aunt Marge is Uncle Vernon's sister, a loud and rude woman who never misses a chance to insult Harry or speak badly about his parents. "She will stay with us for a few days," Uncle Vernon says firmly, staring at Harry, "and you will behave properly," he adds. "No strange behavior, no magic, and no trouble." Harry nods silently and keeps his eyes on the floor. "Yes, Uncle Vernon," he says, even though his hands are already shaking slightly. When Aunt Marge arrives with her large barking dogs, the house fills with noise, heavy footsteps, and her sharp voice. She laughs loudly, drinks too much, and speaks without thinking, enjoying every moment of control she feels over Harry. During dinner, she begins to talk about Harry's parents, slowly at first, then with growing cruelty. She laughs, shakes her head, and makes harsh comments that cut deeper with every word. "Bad blood," she says with a cold smile. "That is always the problem." Harry feels his fingers tighten around his fork as anger slowly rises inside him. He tries to breathe calmly, telling himself again and again not to react, not to answer, not to give her what she wants. But Aunt Marge does not stop. "If you ask me," she continues, pointing directly at Harry, "children like him need strict control, otherwise they become dangerous." Harry's heart begins to beat faster, and his ears feel hot as the anger grows too strong to hold inside. "Please stop," Harry says quietly, but his voice is ignored. Aunt Marge laughs again and says even worse things about Harry's mother and father, insulting them openly and without shame. In that moment, something inside Harry breaks completely. Before he can think or stop himself, the magic reacts to his emotions. Aunt Marge suddenly gasps as her body begins to swell. Her face grows round, her hands stretch, and her feet lift from the floor. "What is happening?" she screams in panic. She grows larger and larger, rising into the air like a balloon filled with air. Uncle Vernon shouts, Aunt Petunia screams, and the dogs bark wildly as Aunt Marge floats through the open door and disappears into the night sky. Harry stands frozen in the middle of the room, breathing fast, his heart pounding loudly in his chest. "I didn't mean to do it," he whispers, his voice shaking. "I didn't want this." The house becomes silent for a moment, and then Uncle Vernon turns to Harry with pure rage in his eyes. "You've ruined everything!" he shouts. "You are dangerous!" Harry does not answer because he already knows the truth. He cannot stay here any longer. He runs upstairs, opens his cupboard, and throws his clothes into his suitcase without care. He takes his wand, his books, and Hedwig's cage, moving quickly and without looking back. "I'm leaving," Harry says quietly to himself. "I won't stay here any more." Outside, the night air feels cold but freeing. The street is empty and silent, lit only by a single street lamp. Harry sits on his suitcase, feeling tired, angry, and strangely calm at the same time. Suddenly, he hears a sound behind him and turns around sharply. At the end of the street, a huge black shape appears, slowly moving closer. It looks like an enormous dog with shining eyes and a dark, silent presence. Fear fills Harry's body, and he steps back, his heart beating wildly. Before anything else can happen, a loud crash breaks the silence. A bright purple bus appears out of nowhere and stops right in front of Harry. The door opens, and a man with a strange smile looks down at him. "Welcome to the night bus," the man says cheerfully. "Emergency transport for the stranded witch or wizard." Harry stares at him, shocked and confused. "I didn't mean to call a bus," Harry says slowly. The man laughs loudly. "That's fine," he replies. "Hop on." After a short moment of hesitation, Harry picks up his suitcase and steps onto the bus, not knowing where this strange night will take him next. Harry sits on the night bus, holding his suitcase tightly, while the vehicle jumps, turns, and squeezes through the narrow streets of London in a way that feels completely unnatural and slightly terrifying. Every sudden stop throws him forward, and every sharp turn makes his stomach twist, but he is too tired and confused to complain. A thin young man with a tired face and a confident smile sits down next to him. "My name is Stan Shunpike," a man says proudly. "I work here. This is the night bus." Harry looks at him carefully. "I'm Harry," he says slowly, choosing not to say his last name. He is not sure who he can trust. Stan studies him with interest. "You look young," Stan says. "Running away from home, are you?" Harry does not answer directly. He turns his head and watches the city flash past the window, buildings bending and streets narrowing as the bus forces its way through impossible spaces. After a long, uncomfortable ride full of loud noises and sudden movements, the bus finally stops with a strong shake. Harry steps outside and immediately recognizes the place. It is the Leaky Cauldron. The old wizarding pub looks warm and safe, glowing softly in the night. For the first time in hours, Harry feels his shoulders relax. Inside the pub, Harry is surprised to see Cornelius Fudge, the Minister of Magic, waiting for him. Fudge looks worried but friendly, and he quickly walks toward Harry. "Harry, my boy," Fudge says in a gentle voice, "we are very glad you are safe." Harry feels confused and nervous. He expects anger or punishment, but instead he sees relief. "You are not in trouble," Fudge continues calmly. "We have already taken care of the situation with your aunt." "But I used magic," Harry says quietly. "I didn't mean to, but—" Fudge waves his hand as if the problem is very small. "Accidents happen," he says. "The important thing is that you are safe." Harry cannot believe what he is hearing. He waits for the punishment that never comes. For the rest of the summer, Harry stays at the Leaky Cauldron. He has his own room, eats good food every day, and is allowed to walk freely through Diagon Alley. For the first time, his summer feels almost normal. Still, something dark follows him. Harry notices worried looks on people's faces. He hears whispers when he walks past shops. One day, Harry sees a newspaper lying on a table. On the front page, there is a picture of a man with wild eyes and messy hair. His name is Sirius Black. The newspaper says he escaped from Azkaban, the most dangerous prison in the wizarding world. The article calls him a violent and dangerous criminal. Harry feels a cold feeling in his chest as he looks at the picture. The man's eyes seem to follow him. Later, Harry overhears a quiet conversation between Fudge and other wizards. They speak carefully, thinking Harry cannot hear. "He is after Harry Potter," one of them says. "We must protect the boy at all costs." Harry's heart starts to beat faster. After me, he thinks. Fear slowly grows inside him. Soon, the summer ends, and Harry meets Ron and Hermione at the leaky cauldron. They run toward him happily, clearly relieved to see him safe. "Harry, where have you been?" Ron asks. "We were worried." Hermione hugs Harry tightly. "We didn't know what happened to you," she says. "I read everything I could." Harry smiles weakly. "I'm okay," he says. But something bad is coming. Together, they go to King's Cross Station and board the Hogwarts Express. The train begins to move, and the countryside slowly passes by the window. For a moment, everything feels normal again. Then the train suddenly slows down. It stops completely. The lights go out, and a deep cold fills the air. Harry feels fear spread through his body. The door opens slowly, and a tall, dark figure floats into the compartment. Its face is hidden under a black hood, and the air feels heavy and lifeless. Harry cannot move. He hears screaming inside his head, a woman's voice, his mother's voice. Suddenly, a strong voice breaks the silence. "Expecto Patronum!" A bright silver light fills the compartment, and the dark creature disappears. Harry feels the cold leave his body. He falls forward, and everything goes black. When Harry slowly opens his eyes, the first thing he feels is cold stone beneath his cheek and a strange weakness in his body, as if all his strength has been taken away. The train compartment is quiet now, and the air no longer feels icy, but the memory of fear is still very strong. Ron and Hermione are kneeling beside him, their faces pale and worried. "Harry, can you hear us?" Hermione asks softly, her voice shaking. "You fainted," Ron adds quickly. "That thing was horrible." Harry sits up slowly, holding his head. His heart is still beating fast, and his hands feel cold. "I heard screaming," Harry says in a low voice. "It felt real, like it was happening again." The door of the compartment opens, and a man steps inside with calm movements. He has messy light brown hair, tired eyes, and a gentle expression. "I'm Professor Lupin," he says kindly. "Please, eat this." He hands Harry a large piece of chocolate. Harry takes it, confused, but he eats it anyway. Little by little warmth returns to his body, and his thoughts become clearer. "That creature was a Dementor," Professor Lupin explains. "They guard Azkaban prison." "Azkaban?" Harry repeats quietly. The word itself feels cold. "Yes," Lupin continues seriously, "they are searching the train for Sirius Black." The train begins to move again, and the lights slowly come back on. Students whisper nervously in the corridor. No one feels safe anymore. When the train finally arrives at Hogwarts, the sky is dark, and heavy rain falls from thick clouds. Thunder rolls in the distance, and the castle rises above the lake like a dark shadow. Students climb into small boats with Hagrid. The water is black and still, and the rain soaks their clothes. Harry looks at the castle and feels both excitement and fear deep inside him. Inside the great hall, everything looks familiar but more serious. Candles float in the air, and the ceiling shows a stormy sky. The noise of talking students slowly fades. Professor Dumbledore stands up from his chair. His face is calm, but his eyes are serious. "Welcome to a new school year at Hogwarts," Dumbledore says. "But this year will not be like the others." He explains that Dementors will guard the school. A quiet fear spreads through the hall. Students exchange worried looks. Harry listens carefully. He does not like the idea of Dementors near Hogwarts. The memory of the train still feels too close. The next morning, classes begin. The corridors fill with movement, voices, and footsteps. Everything feels normal on the surface, but something has changed. In defense against the dark arts, Professor Lupin begins his first lesson. He smiles gently and speaks in a calm, confident voice. Today's lesson is about a magical creature called a boggart. A boggart becomes what you fear the most, Lupin explains. It lives in dark places. One by one, students face the boggart. It changes shape again and again. Laughter slowly replaces fear. When it is Harry's turn, the room suddenly grows cold. The boggart becomes a Dementor. Harry feels weak, and the screaming returns to his head. "Ridiculous!" Professor Lupin shouts quickly. The boggart changes shape, and the fear disappears. Harry breathes deeply, trying to calm himself. After class, Lupin speaks to Harry privately. "You react strongly to Dementors," he says gently. "They affect you more than other students." Harry nods, feeling embarrassed. "I don't know why," he admits. Later that day, Harry hears more whispers about Sirius Black. People say he is dangerous. They say he wants to kill Harry. Harry feels fear, but also confusion. Why would he want me? Harry wonders. That night, Harry lies in his bed, staring at the dark ceiling of the dormitory. The wind howls outside the castle walls. Somewhere far away, a wolf howls in the distance. Harry feels that secrets are close, and he knows that the real danger is only beginning. The weeks pass, and life at Hogwarts slowly finds a strange rhythm again, even though the feeling of danger never fully disappears. Students return to their classes, walk through the corridors, and talk loudly with their friends, but fear is always close, hiding under the surface. Harry walks with Ron and Hermione through the stone corridors, listening to the sound of their footsteps echoing softly. He notices guards at the doors and teachers watching students more carefully than before. Everything feels more controlled, more serious. Soon, everyone starts talking about Hogsmeade. It is a small wizarding village near Hogwarts, full of warm shops, sweet smells, and friendly places to sit and talk. For many students, Hogsmeade weekends are the best part of the school year. Ron talks about the sweet shop with excitement. Hermione talks about the bookshop. Harry listens quietly. There is a problem. Harry does not have permission to go. The Dursleys never signed the paper. "I can't go," Harry says one evening in the common room. His voice sounds calm, but inside he feels angry and disappointed. "That's really unfair," Ron says. "You deserve it more than anyone." Hermione looks worried and thoughtful. "The rules are very clear," she says, "but maybe there is another solution." On the first Hogsmeade weekend, Harry stays behind. He watches his friends leave through the castle gates. The sound of their laughter slowly disappears. Harry feels lonely and frustrated. He walks through the empty corridors, listening to the wind outside. The castle feels larger and colder without his friends. Later that day, Fred and George Weasley find Harry sitting alone. They exchange a quick look and smile in a secret way. "We know how you feel," Fred says. "And we think you might need this," George adds. They give Harry an old piece of parchment. It looks empty and worn. "This is the Marauder's map," Fred explains. "It shows every person in Hogwarts and every secret passage." Harry looks at the map in disbelief. Names begin to appear. Tiny footsteps move across the paper. "This is amazing," Harry whispers. He feels excitement rush through him. Using the map, Harry sneaks through a hidden passage and reaches Hogsmeade. Snow covers the ground, and warm light shines from the windows of the shops. The village feels alive and welcoming. Harry meets Ron and Hermione. They laugh and walk together through the streets. Harry feels free for the first time in weeks. But the happiness does not last. Inside a warm shop, Harry overhears a conversation. He hears adults speaking quietly. They talk about Sirius Black. They talk about Harry's parents. They talk about betrayal. Harry's heart sinks. He learns that Sirius was once his parents' friend. He learns that Sirius betrayed them. Harry feels shocked and hurt. Anger grows inside him. He leaves the shop without saying a word. Back at Hogwarts, Harry cannot stop thinking. His thoughts are loud and painful. He feels confused and angry at the same time. One night, Harry looks at the Marauder's map again. He watches names move across the castle. Suddenly, he sees something impossible. The name Peter Pettigrew appears on the map. The name moves. It walks. Harry's hands shake. "That can't be real," he whispers. The mystery grows deeper. Harry feels that the truth is close. And whatever the truth is, it is dangerous. Spring slowly comes to Hogwarts, but the air still feels tense and heavy, as if the castle itself is holding its breath and waiting for something terrible to happen. Harry cannot stop thinking about the name he saw on the Marauder's map, and no matter how hard he tries, the image of it moving through the corridors stays in his mind. Peter Pettigrew, alive, walking. Harry talks to Ron and Hermione late one evening in the common room, when most students have already gone to bed and the fire burns low. "I saw his name again," Harry says quietly, keeping his voice low. "He was close to us. The map never lies." Ron shakes his head, looking pale and confused. "That's impossible," he says slowly. "Everyone knows Pettigrew died. Sirius Black killed him." Hermione listens carefully, her face serious. "But if the map is correct," she says thoughtfully, "then the story we know might be wrong." Before they can talk more, a loud noise breaks the silence. Ron suddenly jumps up. "Scabbers!" he shouts. "My rat is gone!" They run outside together, following Ron through the dark grounds. The night air is cold, and the moon shines brightly above the trees. Shadows move across the grass as they hurry forward. Suddenly, a huge black dog appears from behind a tree. It moves fast and silently. Before anyone can react, it jumps at Ron. Ron screams and falls to the ground. The dog grabs him and drags him toward the humping willow. "Ron!" Harry shouts, his heart pounding wildly. Without stopping to think, Harry runs after them. Hermione follows, breathing hard. They reach a hole beneath the tree and crawl inside. The tunnel is long, dark, and damp. The ground is cold under their hands, and the air smells old and dusty. At the end of the tunnel, they reach a broken house. It is the Shrieking Shack. The house looks empty, but the silence feels wrong. Inside, they find Ron lying on the floor, holding his leg in pain. The black dog stands nearby, watching them carefully. Then, slowly, the dog changes. Its shape shifts and bends. It becomes a thin, tired man. It is Sirius Black. Harry feels anger explode inside him. "You killed my parents!" Harry shouts, raising his wand. "You betrayed them!" Sirius looks weak but calm. "I did not betray them," he says quietly. "Please listen to me." Before Harry can answer, another voice speaks. It is Professor Lupin. He steps into the room, his face pale but determined. The room fills with shouting and confusion. Accusations fly from every direction. Old stories are told again. Slowly, the truth begins to appear. Sirius was innocent. Peter Pettigrew was the real traitor. Peter suddenly appears. He changes back into a man, small and shaking. He cries loudly and begs for mercy. "I didn't mean to," Peter sobs. "I was scared." Harry feels sick as he listens. All these years of fear and pain suddenly make sense. Sirius looks at Harry with sad eyes. "You look just like your father," he says softly. For the first time, Harry feels something warm and hopeful. He realizes that Sirius is his godfather. He realizes he is not completely alone. But the night is not over yet. Danger is still close, and the truth has a heavy price. The night continues, heavy and silent, as the truth finally stands clear in the Shrieking Shack, but peace is still very far away. Harry feels tired, confused, and overwhelmed, as if too many emotions are fighting inside his chest at the same time. Sirius Black sits on the floor, weak and thin, but his eyes are calm now, filled with sadness and honesty. Professor Lupin stands beside him, watching carefully, while Ron lies on the bed, holding his injured leg and breathing slowly. Hermione stays close to Harry, her face pale but strong, refusing to look away from the truth. "So it was Peter," Harry says slowly, his voice shaking slightly. "All these years, it was him." "Yes," Lupin answers quietly. "Peter Pettigrew betrayed your parents and then hid like a coward, pretending to be dead while others suffered." Sirius looks at Harry with deep emotion. "I wanted to protect you," he says softly. "I never stopped caring about you, even when I was locked away." Harry feels anger, sadness, and hope mixing together in a painful way. For the first time, he realizes that Sirius is not a monster, but family. "We have to take him to the castle," Hermione says firmly. "The truth must be told. Everyone needs to know." Peter Pettigrew begins to cry loudly. He shakes, begs, and promises anything. "Please," he sobs. "I was scared. I didn't want to die." Harry watches him carefully. He thinks about his parents. He feels pain deep inside his chest. "No," Harry says with quiet strength. "You will face what you did." They leave the shrieking shack together and step into the cold night air. The moon shines brightly above them, and long shadows stretch across the ground. For a short moment, Harry feels hope. But suddenly, a terrible cold spreads through the air. A sound like breathing fills the darkness. Dementors appear, many of them. They float silently toward the group, spreading fear and despair. Harry feels his strength leaving him. The screaming returns. His mother's voice, his father's voice. "Expecto Patronum!" Harry shouts desperately. But the spell is weak. Nothing happens. Harry falls to the ground, unable to fight anymore. Darkness closes in around him. Suddenly, a powerful silver light explodes across the lake. A strong Patronus charges forward, driving the Dementors away. Harry opens his eyes slowly. He sees a figure standing near the water. The Patronus shines bright and proud. Later, Harry wakes up in the hospital wing, feeling heavy and exhausted. The room smells clean and quiet. Sunlight falls softly through the window. Professor Dumbledore sits beside his bed. His eyes are thoughtful and kind. "You were very brave tonight," Dumbledore says. "But sometimes courage is not enough." Harry learns the truth. Sirius escaped. The Ministry still believes he is guilty. Harry feels disappointed and angry. It feels unfair. So close, yet lost again. But Dumbledore speaks softly. "Sometimes," he says, "we are given a second chance to fix what went wrong." Hermione shows Harry a small object on a chain, the time turner. They turn back time. Hours disappear. The world moves backward. Harry and Hermione relive the night. They save Buckbeak from death. They hide in the shadows. They watch themselves from afar. At the lake, Harry understands the truth. He was the one who saved them. He raises his wand again. "Expecto Patronum!" This time, the spell is strong. A shining stag bursts from his wand and fills the night with light. The Dementors flee. Sirius escapes on Buckbeak, flying freely into the night sky. For the first time in years, he is free. When time returns to normal, the danger is over. The school slowly returns to peace. The end of the school year arrives. Students pack their bags and say goodbye. The castle feels lighter. Harry says goodbye to Professor Lupin, feeling sad but grateful. Lupin smiles gently. "You are stronger than you know," he says. Before leaving, Harry receives a letter. It is from Sirius. Inside is a gift, a firebolt. Harry smiles as he touches the broom. He feels hope, pride, and courage. As the Hogwarts Express carries him away, Harry looks out the window. The summer is waiting. But this time he knows something important. He is not alone anymore.